Have you ever imagined that Pennywise, the scary clown from It, and Mary Poppins, the magical nanny, could be of the same species? It sounds crazy. But what if they are two sides of the same coin, one feeding on fear and the other on joy? In this video, we are going to explore how these two iconic figures, despite their differences, may be more connected than you think. The theory that Pennywise and Mary Poppins are of the same species may seem unexpected at first. After all, they appear to have completely opposite natures. Pennywise, the malevolent entity from It, the Thing, terrorizes the town of Derry, feeding on fear and using its ability to create illusions to control its victims, especially children. Meanwhile, Mary Poppins, the famous nanny from Mary Poppins, is a charismatic and magical figure who uses her powers to bring joy and valuable lessons to the children under her care. However, if we look closely, some intriguing similarities begin to emerge. Both possess supernatural abilities that defy common reality, have a special relationship with children, and are not exactly human, despite their appearances. Pennywise is an entity that comes from a dimension called the Macroverse, a space beyond human comprehension. Mary Poppins, though her origin is not explicitly explained, also demonstrates control over the laws of time, space, and even nature, suggesting she may come from an equally enigmatic place. What differentiates the two is the way these abilities are used. Pennywise exploits negative emotions, while Mary Poppins seems to thrive on positive ones. This raises the hypothesis that they may be manifestations of the same species or type of cosmic entity, representing different facets of the same kind of interdimensional being. One of the strongest connections between Pennywise and Mary Poppins lies in their supernatural powers, which defy the laws of physics and reality. Although the ways they use these powers are radically different, their abilities suggest that both are entities that transcend human understanding and operate on an interdimensional level. Pennywise, in It, is a creature not bound by the rules of our world. He can change his form at will, manifesting as what most frightens his victims, using fear as a powerful weapon to dominate them. Beyond his physical transformations, Pennywise can also manipulate people's minds, creating illusions so vivid that they seem real. He distorts space and time, as seen in the famous Derry Pit scene, where the physical and temporal dimensions seem to collapse under his control. This level of power indicates that Pennywise has access to higher dimensions, being able to manipulate the reality of our world at will. He is not limited by time, space, or form, which makes him a terrifying and uncontrollable being. Furthermore, as revealed in Stephen King's books, Pennywise is part of a macroverse, a dimension that transcends ordinary existence from which he draws his powers. On the other hand, Mary Poppins also possesses abilities that defy the physics and logic of our world, but she uses them in a much lighter and magical way. She can fly with an umbrella, pull huge objects from her seemingly bottomless bag, and even bring inanimate objects to life, all without apparent effort or explanation. Her supernatural feats are almost always tied to moments of joy and enchantment, showing that her power is also vast but channeled in a positive way. Additionally, like Pennywise, Mary Poppins seems to have control over time and space. She appears and disappears when necessary and seems to know exactly what is happening, even without being present. There is a kind of omniscience in her actions, as if she has a broader understanding of reality, much like how Pennywise understands and manipulates fear and darkness. Both characters demonstrate an ability to shape the world around them according to their will. Pennywise does this in a dark way, using his victims' emotional weaknesses against them, while Mary Poppins transforms the environment to create moments of learning and fun. The fact that both can manipulate reality suggests that they share a similar origin, a kind of cosmic being capable of altering the natural laws of our world. This ability to bend reality may be the strongest indication that both are part of a species of superior entities, with different purposes but comparable abilities. While Pennywise thrives on chaos and fear, Mary Poppins brings order and joy. Both Pennywise and Mary Poppins have a central relationship with children. This connection is another element that supports the idea that they could be of the same species, as their interactions with the young seem to be the main focus of their actions and powers. In It, Pennywise hunts and feeds on children's fear, His preference for them is no coincidence. He chooses children because they are more susceptible to fear and have more fertile imaginations, making his illusions more effective. For Pennywise, children's fear is like a kind of energy, feeding his own existence and strengthening his powers. During the story, we see Pennywise transforming into terrifying versions of his victims' greatest fears, from werewolves to monstrous clowns. The focus on children is not just due to physical vulnerability, but because they represent a richer source of pure and uncontrolled emotions, which he can manipulate for his own benefit. His goal is not just to kill, but to savor the deep terror these children experience before succumbing to fear. Pennywise understands children's emotions on a deep level, and that's why he can be so effective. He uses this connection to exploit his victims, but the focus is always on the primal emotions children experience. Mary Poppins is also a figure central to the children's universe, but from an opposite perspective to Pennywise. Instead of exploiting children's fears, Mary Poppins works to nurture their hopes, creativity, and emotional development. She acts as a mentor and guide to children, helping them grow emotionally and see the world in new and magical ways. Her arrival is never clearly explained, but she seems to appear at the exact moment a family needs help with their children. Moreover, she is a figure who, despite being magical and mysterious, never frightens the children. On the contrary, they immediately trust and care for her, as if they subconsciously recognize that she is there to guide them on a journey of growth. While Pennywise feeds on fear, Mary Poppins metaphorically nourishes herself on the joy and love that children begin to express during their adventures with her. The happiness of the children around her seems to be what fuels her powers, allowing her to continue exercising her supernatural abilities. The main difference here lies in the nature of the interactions. Pennywise is a manipulative figure, aiming to destroy children's psyches through fear. Mary Poppins, on the other hand, acts as an emotional healer, guiding children on a path of self-exploration and growth. However, both share an obsession with children's emotions, one feeding on negative energy, while the other stimulates positive emotions. This relationship with children suggests that, if both belong to the same species of cosmic beings, they have opposite purposes regarding the emotional and psychological development of young people. Pennywise seeks to destroy emotional potential, while Mary Poppins wants to enhance it. One feeds on inner darkness, while the other brings forth light. Another fascinating point that connects Pennywise and Mary Poppins is the fact that both appear cyclically, suggesting that their presence in the human world is determined by specific events or needs. These cycles, although different in duration and purpose, reinforce the idea that the two could be interdimensional beings that only manifest in our plane of existence at specific moments. Pennywise emerges every 27 years in It, returning to Derry to feed on the fear of its inhabitants, especially the children. This cycle is almost ritualistic, as if he is bound to a pre-established pattern that forces him to act according to this periodicity. The exact reason behind this interval is not fully explained, but it seems related to the amount of fear and chaos he can generate and consume during each period. Pennywise's cycle is marked by violence and destruction, as each time he returns, there is a surge of tragedies and disappearances, until he is eventually put to sleep or temporarily defeated. This cyclical pattern suggests that Pennywise may not be able to exist continuously in our world and needs long periods of rest to regain his strength before returning to feed again. Mary Poppins, on the other hand, does not have a clearly defined cycle like Pennywise, but she also appears at specific and critical moments. She shows up when a family is in crisis or when children need guidance to grow emotionally. Her arrival is always timely and seems to follow some sort of hall or universal need. Once her work is done and the children or the family have reached the necessary growth, she disappears as mysteriously as she arrived, often leaving only magical memories of her stay. This behavior suggests that Mary Poppins operates in a flexible yet equally ritualistic cycle in which she is summoned or drawn into a reality when there is an emotional or spiritual need for her presence. Her departure is as abrupt as her arrival, and just like Pennywise, she does not remain permanently among humans. These cycles of appearance can be interpreted as cosmic patterns that govern both characters. Pennywise, with his fixed 27-year cycle, seems to act at predetermined intervals, as if he is bound to a greater force that regulates his return. Mary Poppins, on the other hand, has a more organic approach, appearing only when necessary, but her absence and reappearance also follow a logic that escapes human understanding. The theory that they are of the same species suggests that both are regulated by interdimensional laws that prevent them from remaining continuously in our world. Pennywise must rest after devouring fear and terror, while Mary Poppins appears only when her emotional guidance abilities are required. Both cycles, although different, suggest that these entities follow cosmic patterns to manifest. To fully understand the connection between Pennywise and Mary Poppins, it is crucial to explore the interdimensional nature of these characters. Both display powers far beyond what humans can conceive, and their appearances, abilities, and behaviors indicate that they do not belong to our world, but to a superior or parallel dimension. This part of the theory suggests that they are not just magical entities, but beings that come from realities beyond our comprehension. In it, Pennywise is described as a cosmic entity, originating from a dimension called the Macroverse. The Macroverse is a place outside time and space where creatures like Pennywise exist. In Stephen King's book, it is implied that Pennywise is not a simple physical form, but a manifestation of something much older and more primordial, an entity known as the Thing, which assumes various forms, with the clown being just one of them. His true form is almost indescribable, suggesting that he transcends human notions of reality and perception. Pennywise manipulates space-time and the perception of his victims, shaping their minds so that they see and feel their worst fears. His presence in Derry and his brutal actions are merely an extension of the cosmic terror he represents. He does not belong to our world and only manifests to devour human emotions, returning to his interdimensional dormancy state after satisfying his hunger. This connection with the Macroverse reinforces the idea that Pennywise has an extra-dimensional origin and that his appearances in our world are just a small fraction of what he truly is. Although Mary Poppins' origin is never explicitly revealed, many of her behaviors and powers indicate that she is also not a simple human. Mary Poppins has an aura of mystery around her identity. She can fly, alter the reality around her, and summon magical objects and creatures with ease. Her bottomless bag and the ability to transform the physical environment around her suggest that she has access to a different dimension where the common rules do not apply. Mary Poppins appears and disappears at will, as if she can navigate between worlds with ease. This makes her resemble a kind of guardian from another dimension, sent to guide children in need of her help. Her origins may be linked to a plane similar to Pennywise's, but instead of terror, she brings magic, hope, and joy. There is a fan theory that suggests Mary Poppins is not human, but a kind of superior being that temporarily takes on human form to fulfill her purpose. Her connection to a parallel or superior reality may be the reason why she possesses so much power, but uses it beneficially to help and guide those in her care. The idea that Pennywise and Mary Poppins are of the same species becomes even more interesting when we consider the possibility that both come from a higher plane or a similar interdimensional dimension. While Pennywise represents the darkness, chaos, dire, and fear that emerge from this plane, Mary Poppins may be the manifestation of order, enchantment, and hope. Perhaps these entities exist in pairs, like opposing cosmic forces destined to influence the human world in different ways. If both come from the same dimension, their appearances in our world would be the result of interdimensional interference. Pennywise could be an entity that escapes this dimension to sow terror and chaos, while Mary Poppins is sent to restore balance, nurturing joy and imagination. A crucial point that reinforces the idea that Pennywise and Mary Poppins belong to the same species is the fact that both seem to depend on human emotions to sustain their powers. However, while Pennywise feeds on the darkest and most destructive emotions, Mary Poppins symbolically nourishes herself with positive emotions like joy, hope, and love. These opposites form the basis of the duality between them, with one being strengthened by fear and anguish, and the other thriving on happiness and emotional growth. Pennywise is essentially an emotional predator. He doesn't just feed on children, but also on the fear they experience before they die. Terror is the fuel that keeps him powerful. The greater the fear, the stronger he becomes. This explains why Pennywise puts so much effort into creating terrifying illusions, transforming himself into his victims' worst phobias. He enjoys savoring the pure terror that these intense emotions release. The fear of children is the purest form of despair, and Pennywise knows how to manipulate it to maximize his nourishment. His existence depends on this negative energy, which is why he returns every 27 years to consume again. Without fear and panic, Pennywise weakens and must return to his dormant state in the Macroverse, where he patiently waits for the next feeding cycle. In short, Pennywise does not just kill children, but feeds on the very emotion that precedes death. Fear is his true feast. In contrast to Pennywise, who thrives on fear and destruction, Mary Poppins seems to be strengthened by positive emotions, especially those related to the emotional growth of children. Her main mission is to help children develop their emotional skills. souls, nurturing them with joy, imagination, and valuable lessons. As the children under her care blossom and mature emotionally, Mary Poppins also seems to thrive. There is an almost energetic aspect to the way she guides the children, helping them overcome emotional obstacles and find new perspectives on life. Although Mary Poppins does not literally feed on emotions like Pennywise, her presence and powers seem linked to the positive energy generated by the children she helps. Her magical adventures are always filled with fun and enchantment, emotions that surround and amplify her power. We can consider that Mary Poppins, as an interdimensional being, needs these positive emotions to remain active and to perform her magical feats. She transforms the world around the children, but seems to nourish herself on the joy and hope they generate throughout the process. The duality between the two is clear. Pennywise feeds on fear, and Mary Poppins thrives on joy. If both are of the same species, they could be two sides of the same coin, with their existences linked to the consumption of human emotions, but with completely opposite purposes. Pennywise devours the darkest energies, corroding the children's psyches with terror, while Mary Poppins nurtures and cultivates the best in them, extracting the maximum of their emotional potential. This contrast in feeding methods not only strengthens the idea that they belong to the same type of entity, but also suggests a cosmic interdependence between light and darkness, with each playing its role in a greater balance of forces. Now that we've explored the nature of Pennywise and Mary Poppins as interdimensional entities that feed on human emotions, we can dive into the idea that they represent opposing cosmic forces. Although they are at extremes, both can be considered two sides of the same coin, that is, manifestations of the same species of interdimensional beings that act in different spectrums, one in darkness, the other in light. Pennywise is the embodiment of fear, darkness, and chaos. His goal is to sow terror, not only because he feeds on it, but because that is his essence. He is a destructive force that exists to corrupt and break human minds, especially those of children, whose emotions are more vulnerable and pure. The cycle of violence he creates every 27 years in Derry is a reflection of the darkness that permeates his existence. He appears, devours fear, and leaves a trail of destruction before disappearing again. Pennywise's darkness is more than literal. He represents despair, the inability to escape nightmares and phobias. Each transformation he takes is calculated to extract the maximum amount of terror, whether he assumes the form of a clown, a monster, or a formless entity. He is chaos incarnate, emerging to destabilize and dominate those who cannot confront him. His destructive and predatory nature makes Pennywise a symbol of the darkest aspects of the universe, a force of entropy, always seeking to break down what has been built. If Pennywise is darkness, Mary Poppins is light. She is the opposing force that arises to bring balance, order, and above all, hope. Where Pennywise sows fear, Mary Poppins cultivates love and trust. Her function is to guide children on a path of emotional and spiritual growth, helping them face life's adversities with lightness and joy. She doesn't need to transform into something scary to make an impact on the children. On the contrary, her mere presence is enough to alter reality around her in an enchanting and welcoming way. Unlike Pennywise, who distorts reality to exploit fear, Mary Poppins uses her powers to inspire and free the minds of children, leading them to a state of full imagination. Her connection to light is in her mission to protect, guide, and heal. Where Pennywise destroys the emotional, Mary Poppins restores it. She is a constructive force, existing to restore order and harmony in homes that need her intervention. This theory is based on the idea that both Pennywise and Mary Poppins represent opposing cosmic forces. Pennywise is entropy, the chaos that periodically arises to destroy, while Mary Poppins is order, a restorative presence that appears to bring balance and emotional growth. They may be entities of the same species, but their missions are fundamentally different. One comes to corrode and devour, the other to build and protect. This duality reflects a logic of cosmic balance. Just as there are forces that destroy, there are also those that build. Pennywise and Mary Poppins would, in this sense, be the personifications of these opposing forces. Although they do not meet directly, their cycles of appearance and their impacts on the human world can be seen as part of the same cosmic game in which light and darkness have complementary roles. Both are necessary to maintain the universal balance, but they operate on completely different poles. Pennywise acts in the shadows, distorting negative emotions to feed on them, while Mary Poppins acts in the light, guiding children to explore the best within themselves. Fear and joy, chaos and order, together, they form the dynamic that shapes the existence of both. The theory that Pennywise and Mary Poppins are of the same interdimensional species relies on their similarities. Both possess supernatural powers that defy reality, maintain an intimate relationship with children, and appear in cyclical moments to fulfill their purposes. However, their opposing natures, with Pennywise representing chaos and fear, and Mary Poppins' order and joy, reveal a cosmic duality where each plays a fundamental role in universal balance. While Pennywise feeds on the darkest and most destructive emotions, such as fear and despair, Mary Poppins nourishes herself from happiness and emotional development, cultivating the best in children. They are, in a way, complementary forces, light and darkness, chaos and order, two sides of the same entity, acting on opposite poles to influence humanity. This perspective makes us rethink the function of these characters and imagine a vaster and more complex universe where the battle between fear and hope goes beyond individual stories, creating a cycle of continuous influence in which Pennywise and Mary Poppins act as opposing but indispensable forces. Did you enjoy this crazy theory connecting Pennywise and Mary Poppins? If you like this dive into the dark and magical sides of these characters, don't forget to leave a like. It really helps the channel grow and motivates me to bring more intriguing theories for you. And of course, if you have another theory or want to share your opinion, comment below. I love reading what you guys have to say. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you don't miss the upcoming videos. There are a lot of good theories coming up. See you in the next mystery.